Hello and welcome back to Learn It from a Layman. I am Carl Christensen. I am joined by Avi and Tim.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Avi. Welcome back. It's been an episode or two. You always join us for our book episodes, so the audience knows what to expect. Okay, and then we also have Tim. I think I know all things Cox.
No. Tim, Comrade Tim.
Oh, Comrade Tim.
Tim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling you now?
Yes, Comrade.
Okay, we know which side Tim is picked in this. Oh, and we just were joined by Cameron as well. So, okay, we are today discussing specifically two books that might not be super related, but they're both political commentary. And so we're going to be discussing Animal
Most
Farm.
books are.
Well, okay. That's fair. We're discussing Animal Farm by George Orwell and A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. So they are both written in the last couple hundred years, and they both are in English. That's how they're related. Okay.
Yep.
So let's let's start with Animal Farm. So I believe that all of us, all in the call, so Cameron, Avi, Tim, and I all read I think we'd all read this previously. Now, Avi, I guess I can't speak for you if you had read Animal Farm more than once. Have you read this
I
book
have
multiple times?
Okay. Read it enough that I know about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I read it, I don't know, a decade ago or more, and then I reread it here this last month or two. So we're going to, yeah, I mean, I honestly really enjoyed it the first time I read it, but let's give a plot summary here. I have one up, but I don't know if someone else wants to.
You're gonna copy it off of the online. That's called plagiarism. Don't you know that?
Not fully copied.
Right.
Not fully copied, Abby. This is slightly amended and with some additional information. But yes, I did some prep. But so I'll go ahead and start, and then jump in, guys, with any plot points, and then we'll talk about some of the themes of the book, why Orwell wrote it, and kind of what it says to us now. So the story is on Manor Farm, so that's where the setting is a farm called Manor Farm, and the human in charge of Manor Farm is Mr. Jones. And Mr. Jones is drunk. He's not a very responsible farmer. And there are the animals, as most animals are wont in books, they speak. So there's a pig named Old Major, and he gives a speech about freedom and equality and overthrowing humans. And
it's worth noting that all of the animals up until this point have been neglected. They are actively being neglected and starved and
correct.
Abused.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, generally and all around not a great farm to be on as an animal.
Correct. Exactly. And so Old Major talks about revolution and something called animalism. So where the animals are in charge, and then shortly after his speech, within the next couple of weeks, Old Major dies. And then because of the really bad circumstances and situation on the farm, like Avi was saying, Mr. Jones is starving them and just not. And so they break in to the feed, and they're feeding themselves. And then Mr. Jones and his lackeys come out with a whip, and that is when the revolution begins. They overthrow Jones and his people, chase him off the farm, and boom, the animals are in charge. And it starts well. The animals are equal. Exactly. They work together. The slogan is all animals are equal. They come up with a list of laws that they're going to abide by. They paint them on the barn door.
Mostly summed up as don't act like the humans.
Yeah. They're all very anti-human. And they're sharing their food. They're all working hard. Leadership, though, very quickly consolidates to the pigs. And
who are known as the most intelligent of the animals.
Right. Exactly.
And
they're the ones
that learn how to write, which is how they write out all of the rules, and they learn how to do math, and they learn governments, which makes me question what kind of books Farmer Jones keeps on his farm.
Farmer Jones.
Like, this man is a drunkard, but apparently he inherited the farm from a scholar because they have all of these resources that they use to instate a functioning society. They divide labor, and they make it a goal for when the harvest comes, they will harvest more than Farmer Jones ever did when he was in charge, which they succeed at doing. Under the overview of the pigs. And there are 2 primary pigs that we care about. I'm taking over your summary, by the way.
That's just fine.
Who's named Napoleon and Snowball. So Snowball is he leads one half of the I guess political party, and Napoleon leads the other. And they debate things between each other, and the 2 of them are considered the experts. And now, for those of you unfamiliar, the Animal Farm is taught in schools as being baby's intro to allegory, which is like, now look at how this thing is like this other thing. And so the other thing that Animal Farm is like is the Russian Revolution, which is why Comrade. So Snowball is an allegory for Leon Trotsky, who is a Russian revolutionist. Napoleon, his rival, is represents his Lenin. Yes, right.
Well, it's got to be Lenin.
I don't know why I hesitated there.
His
family, our less likable
one of the most
Russian
talented of the Beatles.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Tells you something about the Beatles.
Yes. So Snowball and Napoleon, like you said, Avi, they're very like
they represent the 2 halves of the Russian party.
Right.
So all is great, all is well. The revolution has been staged. The evil humans are out, and utopia time, right? Well, kind of.
Well, it starts off well, like we said. Yeah.
But the pigs realize, hey, wait a second. We're so much smarter and cooler and better than everyone else, naturally, because we're pigs, that maybe we deserve more than them on account of us being pigs, which is so much better than every other type of animal that you could be. And so Snowball is like, hey, wait a minute, guys, that's not cool. That's not what the laws we set up say. Everyone's equal, remember? And Napoleon goes, are you sure about that? And essentially drives a propaganda campaign against Snowball, at which point, when something goes wrong in the farm, he places all blame of it on Snowball and drives him out of the farm. Now, Snowball is his major point of opposition at this time, so with Snowball gone, he can start really ramping things up. Other animals have a quota of work they have to do, and can only get so much of the food. The pigs get all of the best benefits. They get the warmest spots in the barn. They get all of the tastiest food. And the dogs, the farm dogs, when they give birth, the pigs take away their puppies to somewhere.
And that's how Napoleon actually drove Snowball off. Napoleon took the puppies, raised them as his own, and turned them into his like elite personal guard, without anyone's knowledge. And then, in a point of debate, Napoleon unleashes the dogs who go after Snowball, who barely escapes with his life, and that's when Napoleon takes over, without any opposition left.
Now his dogs become his elite force, where if anyone does dare question him, they don't do it for long, on account of being dogged. So
yes.
But the animals, they're like, hey, this is still what we wanted, right? This is the revolution. Things are better now, aren't they? And there's this sense of community within the animals that we built the setting that we're in right now. Therefore, it's what we wanted.
Right. Yeah, and then there's the ongoing and continuous propaganda campaign that Napoleon has for. He has another pig that does his propaganda work for him, named Squealer, who
Wheeler.
goes around rewriting history and telling the animals,
Wheeler is what
gaslighting.
is known as a class traitor.
Yeah, yeah. So he goes
Uh,
around essentially gaslighting all the animals into believing that, Snowball was always
Comrade.
evil and things are always
Yeah,
better now than they used to be. So
yeah, and every good thing that Snowball did for them, when the humans came back to try and take over the farm, the way he fought them off, that didn't happen, you
right,
fools. That was
right.
Comrade Napoleon, glorious leader Napoleon. Don't you remember?
Right.
And so this thing happens where, as the story progresses, the rules that they built the foundation of what is now Animal Farm instead of Manor Farm, the rules they built the foundation on get changed. And because all of the pigs are in on it, every animal just has to kind of accept that that's how it's supposed to be. All of the animals say, all of the rules say that you can't drink any alcohol because that's a human thing. No, it just says you can't drink alcohol to excess.
Right. Yeah, they changed. They
And
changed.
so,
They changed the laws under the dark of night, and use the other animals' ignorance to their own benefit. The pigs do. They go in and change these laws that they've painted, and then gaslight all the animals into believing that that's what the law always was.
And a
So
quick note:
and
there is one animal that is not taken by the pig's propaganda and gaslighting. The cynic Benjamin the donkey, who
yep,
is skeptical of
who is
everything and
also
always
smart
has
enough to
been.
read.
right, yep,
He also knows how to read. But
Yes,
you might be
and so
wondering, well,
he's
if he can see what they're doing, why doesn't he tell the other animals about it? And the reason is because Benjamin doesn't care very much. He cares about a few things: having enough to eat, his nice good friend Boxer, and that's it. As long as he has
well,
both of those things, he doesn't care about anything else.
and I would characterize it as he doesn't believe he's cynical. His point, he says repeatedly that, oh, I've lived a long time, and so he's kind of the ultimate pessimist realist, where he just doesn't believe that anything is worth it because it's all just gonna go to ruin anyways. And so yeah, kind of he's the
Why bother
symbolizing.
affecting the outcome if it's always going to go downhill?
right,
Yeah.
Um,
yep,
but the thing that they do with the rules, where they slowly start changing them, is that the animals of the farm slowly start being overworked and underfed and neglected in the way that they
hmm
were under Farmer Jones. And the pigs start acting more and more like humans. They start wearing clothes, they start sleeping in the manor's bed, they start, you know, playing cards, walking upright. And the kind of end of the book shows them starting to make trade deals with other farms, still run by humans. And the pigs start trading with the other humans. And the end of the book shows them in a meeting with all of the other humans playing cards. And the animals outside the window look back and forth between them from human to pig, and they can't really tell the difference anymore
hmm yeah,
because the pigs have become so human-like, which in this case is an allegory for the evil bad government who oppresses us.
right, yep. Yeah, so that's it is a sobering end, and like a very poetic end to the uprising, the revolution that brought them, the animal farm, and it ends with the animals essentially becoming the same oppressors that they were to begin with, that they were under to begin with. So One character that I wanted to
Yeah, and then it
comment
just
on.
ends. They don't actually.
That's the end.
They don't
Right.
fix anything. It doesn't have a happy ending. It just ends there.
Yep. Yep. One character I wanted to comment on, Avi, that you mentioned, but I think is Boxer. And Boxer is
Plays a key
the
role.
horse.
Boxer,
Yeah,
yes,
he's
was my favorite character.
yeah, me too. So their workhorse, and his motto becomes "I will work harder." So he's a very loyal member of the farm, always, backing Napoleon, or before he was just always a hard worker and always wanted.
Self-sacrificing.
What was that, Tim? Sorry.
Self-sacrificing.
Yeah, exactly. That if something wasn't going right, he could fix it by working harder. And they're working to build a windmill. So that was originally Snowball's idea, but after Napoleon chases him off, Napoleon makes it his idea. And anyway, the animals are all working hard to do this, and Boxer is the most hardworking, always getting up early, always putting in extra hours to get this windmill built. And in the end, he works beyond his working capacity. So he gets old. Years have passed. He should be in retirement. He keeps working to the point where I'm trying to remember what exactly he
Damages
does.
himself.
He hurts himself in some way, and so Napoleon
It's not useful
ensures.
anymore.
Right, exactly. Well, he tells Napoleon tells everyone so that he's going to get care for Boxer, and Boxer's going to be taken care of and healed. And so then the next morning, a truck comes up and picks up Boxer, and that's when what's the donkey's name again?
Benjamin.
Benjamin starts. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
he finally wakes up and realizes I didn't do anything, and now there's the consequences for my actions, because the truck that pulls up to take Boxer away, they're told that it's going to take him to the hospital. But what the truck says on the side of it is glue factory.
Right,
or
exactly.
something along those lines.
Yes, exactly.
And so all of the animals are cheering and waving and going, "Bye, Boxer, get better soon." And he's like, "You idiots! They're taking him to kill him."
Right.
And so all of the animals are horrified and chase after him, but the truck drives away and it's too late, and he's gone. And Benjamin is heartbroken that he didn't do enough to stop it.
Right.
But when the animals go up to Napoleon and say, "Hey, you said you were going to heal him. What gives?" He goes, "What? I did heal him. We sent him to the hospital. That was a hospital truck. They bought it from the glue factory, and they didn't have time to repaint it.
Right.
It was totally taking him to the hospital, you guys, I promise. I was there at his deathbed, and I heard him, and it was heart-wrenching. And his last words were, 'Listen to Napoleon, guys. Napoleon's always right. I promise.' That's what he said. And the animals are like, 'Well, we don't really have any proof that he did go to the glue factory, so I guess we'll believe you.' Yep. He went to the hospital, and then they just couldn't save him."
Yep. Yeah, and so the main overarching point of the book, I think, is exemplified by Boxer, who's obviously a good animal, a hardworking animal, but naive and ignorant. And when you have naivete and ignorance on mass, that it can be exploited and used to nefarious ends. And that is the point: is that if the animals had been educated, if they could have read the laws, if they
I was gonna say, I don't think it's ignorance so much as it is a lack of education.
Sure, right.
Boxer is an allegory for the lower class, the uneducated manual laborer lower class, who are the pillars of the society, that they make things that everybody needs and they keep society turning, but they don't know enough to realize that they're being exploited. And so everyone sees what healthy, happy, hard workers they are and goes, "Well, they believe in this society, and they're good people, so I guess I'll believe in this society too."
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it is a warning tale of make sure that your education is sufficient, that when that no one can gaslight you, that they can't change the laws without you noticing, that you invest enough in your education and your uh, that that these nefarious leaders are not able to use your
Exploit you.
good, yeah, exactly, to use your good nature against you and exploit you in uh, to their untoward desires. um, Cameron, you haven't chimed in yet. Did you have any insight or anything you wanted to add about Animal Farm here? I'll take that as a no.
Well, yes,
um,
yes, I dare say what.
Tim,
How's
did
my
you want to? Yeah,
impersonation?
I don't think that's Cameron. Tim, did you
I
want to
also
add
don't think that's
anything?
a Russian thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't think the Russians say what, but I mean, I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll add, and I think you guys are drawing a reasonable conclusion from the tale. I think that is part of the answer. Um, though though I think, and I don't know if Orwell would agree with me here or not, but part of my takeaway from this is less just a instruction and more just critique. I think part of, and I think one way we can read this is not obviously, of course, it is based on the Bolshevik Revolution and Russia's path afterwards. However, I think that this could be read wider as a general critique of human government in general and the human condition. I was doing a little bit of back reading with this. So this was published in 1945, I want to say. But part of it was driven by Orwell's observations in the Spanish Civil War era, and so those things. So I think Orwell. I think part of his point is that this is again not just a flaw in the Russians, but this is a flaw in human government in general. This tendency for power to consolidate itself, to the the use of propaganda, misinformation, and power to, including fear, to leverage political dominance. And I think part of it is just a general critique of humanity and say this is what humanity is and this is what humanity does to itself. And we see
The
it
saying where
over
it's
and over
like
again. The
power
Say again.
corrupts, absolute power. The saying where it's like power corrupts, absolute
Oh,
power corrupts absolutely.
sure. That would I think be in keeping with the spirit of this story, and we've seen it. This kind of thing verified again and again. The Cuban Revolution, the French Revolution, which we'll get to in a minute. Even more recent examples in our lifetimes, we've seen Venezuela go from a relatively open and democratic society to a what it is today. um, and so I think Orwell would look at it, would say that Animal Farm is shining a light on all of these. I do agree that education helps, though. My observations in the United States here, I don't know. I sometimes wonder whether even educated people can be taken in the moment by fears, by misinformation, by classism, and in-group out-group thinking. These are human foibles, and so I suppose education, in so much as education is making us aware of the tendencies of human society to fail in these certain ways, and perhaps we can guard and work against it. But I suppose that's a more cynical reading. But I think cynicism is. I think if Orwell were to pick a character that he would be Benjamin. Saying the vanity of vanities. This is. Anyways.
Yeah, I think the case that this is beyond, it goes beyond a specific revolution, like obviously written in context of the Russian Revolution, but yeah, any human uh, power imbalance can lead to this type of outcome. So uh, organizations, whatever it might be.
Well, I mean, I think we can kind of go a step further with what you guys are saying and talk about utopianism. At the start, the utopianism of their communistic ideas worked really good.
Right.
As long as we're all helping and working together, it's it works. If everyone's working for the benefit of each other, the government works.
Yep.
It's when
Yeah.
you become
Good faith effort.
corrupted and start saying I'm more important than so and so, that's when it fails.
Yeah, and the promise and the allure of the utopian society is powerful, and when you feel like you can realize it, it's wonderful. Then the desire for power and is unfortunately throughout human history uh, a too strong a pull for people to be able to keep society in that type of balance. So,
And
um,
I mean, and I'm going to say not just any political society. I would say all political societies fail.
sure.
If you don't think your politician isn't out there for power, then you got to look at it.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I don't know a politician that doesn't want power. They're not getting
Yeah.
something from being it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
let's.
valid point. And even, and I'll just add, even if it's with the best of intentions, right? I believe there are a lot of altruistic politicians out there who truly believe in their cause and what they're doing, but it's just the inherent nature of that yeah, you're seeking for power. It
I
is
mean,
what it is.
yeah. Even if it's altruistic, I know I can do a change and it's going to be better for everyone. I can see the broken system. You're still looking for power in the end. You're looking to change the broken system, and yes, the system is broken no matter what system you choose. Um, and I mean, are we saying Orwell was a promoter of anarchy? Let's not have any system and see what that happens. We could definitely
Right. Well, and that's where I
spend.
think it's useful. Yeah. Well, to what Tim was saying, it's largely a commentary, right? It's not a fix, just like Avi said. Like in the end, things are just broken, and like that's the
Wait,
end.
it's not a fix, just like who said?
Right. Well, no, you said at the end of Animal Farm that like that it
Oh,
just
right.
ends.
It
It's
doesn't fix
not a
itself.
happy ending, right? It's not fixed. It's not like, oh, we've come to utopia and we're good to go. It's like, oh, we're back
Mhm.
where we started. So
See, to
There
me,
is no fix.
I think the thing that I observe about the story is that not that it's all hopeless and every society, no matter which one you choose, will go to heck, but that it's a cycle, right? Not
sure.
everything is doomed to failure, but at some point the system will fail, and then it will be replaced by a new system. And at some point
Mhm.
that system will fail, and it will be replaced by a new system. But there are still points of improvement. At the beginning of this society, it was better for the animals than under Farmer Jones. And then the
Sure.
system failed and it went back to how it was. But after the pig's reign and after Napoleon, maybe society will improve again until,
Hmm.
that system fails and it starts over. So it's not to say that everything will go to hell no matter what we do, the way that Benjamin thinks, but that things still can be improved on. In the moment, we do have the ability to make things better than they are. We just have to understand that it won't be a permanent change and that we have to keep working at it. It's not just a one and done fix, it's a continuous battle to better society. And a lot of people it can be very exhausting to think that way, or
Sure.
it can be they don't realize that things will naturally decline if they are not upkept.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
so
well, I
I
like
think that
yeah.
while you could have a very cynical interpretation of the story of just everything is going to go wrong no matter what you do and there's nothing you can do about it, I think it is an accurate observation of reality, but there is more.
Right. I like the hopeful interpretation too, Avi. I see what Cameron's saying for sure. That, but like I like I'm generally an optimist myself. So like that things are cyclical, and like Cameron said that things will fail. You're seeking for power, things going to break. But like Avi was pointing out, we can improve. We can learn from the past. We can move forward. And while things are be cyclical, things will you know, uh, you know, the waves of time move forward.
But
Hopefully, all the tide can rise and all boats will lift. So,
but you can only move forward if you have a government that allows that.
sure, yeah,
And a
well,
Right, which is
communist
why if your
regime
government
does
doesn't work,
not
change
allow
it.
that.
right.
Yeah. Well, that's
There is, yeah,
easier said
there's
than
an.
done.
That's true.
But
There's
yeah, obviously, societal upheaval is not a simple task.
Speaking of, that's a perfect transition now. Speaking of
Okay.
not simple, we're all right. We're going to move now to Tale of Two Cities. The tale, a tale, tale of two, a tale of two cities. It's a tale.
Something
Okay,
like that.
sorry. It is a tale of two cities.
Just one. Just one tale.
Just well, though it's hard to believe given how long and wordy Dickens generally is, but it is one tale.
Hey, Carl, I'm pausing to make a request that we make a new podcast T-shirt. It was the best of podcasts. It was the worst of podcasts. What do you think?
Okay, Tim. You know what? Well, in the last 5 minutes, I was actually considering that line, and then I moved on from it, Tim. So,
Well, you moved on. The rest of us haven't. It was the
okay.
best of ideas. It was the worst of ideas.
Yeah, well, it's now the worst of ideas, Tim. So,
Not just the worst. Never mind. It was just the worst.
okay, okay, all right. A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. I will own some bias here. It is my favorite book. So
Ever?
for those, it is my favorite book and my favorite novel. Let's call it my favorite novel. I mean, there are other books that I like, but as far as novels go, it ranks number one. And so I recommend all those that have not read the book. This is, if you're going to put novels in a list, this is number one for me. And so let me give you the plot summary here, and then we'll discuss how this relates to revolutionary ideas. So this is story begins in about 1775. The best of times and the
And
worst
there
of
are two
times.
cities.
We're talking about London and we're talking about Paris, England and France in general as well. So, and there are a number of specific characters that you meet. We don't have time to go through the whole plot of this book like we did Animal Farm. Animal Farm's like 120 pages, and Tale of Two Cities is like 400. But for
Because
a
of
real
Dickens.
quick, yeah, well, exactly. Dickens loved to write, and he wrote a lot.
Well, it's
Okay.
okay. Fun fact time. It's not so much that Dickens loved to write; it's more that Dickens loved to get paid.
Okay, well,
And
that's
you know
fair.
how writing worked at that time? You were paid by the word.
Yeah.
Now,
Hey,
when you're paid by the word, you want to write a lot of words.
milk the cash cow. Milk the cash cow.
And people of that era were very flowery with their language. It was the
That's true as well. Yeah. Okay. So, A Tale of Two Cities. We start in England. There's Mr. Jarvis Lorry. He's a banker from Tellson's Bank, and he's on his way to meet a character named Lucy Manette. Lucy is a young girl, she 18 years old or thereabouts. At this time at the beginning of the book, and they're going to go retrieve her father, who she has never met, who has recently been freed from a French prison, who was unjustly imprisoned for 18 years. or thereabouts. And so they go to Paris. They retrieve Dr. Manette. That's her father, Lucy Manette's father, Alexander Manette, and they take him back to England out of danger of the French aristocracy, who he has fallen out of favor with, which is why he was in prison for so long. And then time, yeah, and so then time passes, and then we meet a character named Charles Darnay. And he is in England. He is a French man who has renounced his family's fortune and legacy, which was they were aristocrats in France, and he's now in England trying to make a living for himself. But he's been denounced for treason. And Dickens makes point of saying that even in England, people are out for blood, and that the public is here for it, and they love the scene of it, and that like a unjust accusation often resulted in death. And so he kind of paints this picture of Charles Darnay as not having a lot of hope of overcoming this accusation. But he has a good lawyer, and there's this man named Sidney Carton, who's also a lawyer who's there, who happens to look just like Charles Darnay. They're doppelgangers, and at one point in the trial, that comes up as a relevant point of like, well, because there's some eyewitness that supposedly saw Charles Darnay giving papers that potentially had English secrets to the French, and then they said, well, do you know it was Charles Darnay? Could it have been this man? And it kind of stumps him, and he's okay. They're like, well, see, he can't tell two people apart. And so anyway, they get the lawyers get Darnay off. He meets Charles Darnay meets Lucy Manette. They fall in love. They get married. Dr. Manette, who's essentially, when he got out of French prison, was kind of out of his mind from being imprisoned for so long without a social connection. He had gone in his outlet had been making shoes. And so he essentially became nonsensical, and just anytime he became stressed or angry or upset after being freed, he would revert to this kind of childlike state of like, give me shoes, I need to make shoes. And so he's largely overcome that in the years since then. And then Sidney Carton actually, by the way, also falls in love with Lucy Manette, but Lucy Manette is not in love with Sidney Carton. Sidney Carton is a bit of a hopeless case. He's an intelligent kid, hard working, but not super well. He's not hardworking. I guess that's the point. Sidney Carton sees himself as a wasted soul. He does work for a lawyer. He's intelligent, but he's not a good person according to himself. He doesn't view himself as worth anything. And so Lucy Manette falls in love with Charles Darnay, who's a hardworking guy, and Sidney Carton says, "Okay, well, think good of me in life. Know that you could have gotten the best from me, but I understand your choice, and I will never, get in the way or be a problem in the future, and I will always try to serve you." That's his speech to Lucy Manette. Fast forward, so the Manettes are married. Charles Darnay marries Lucy Manette. They're living with the father, and now Charles Darnay finds out that he can help some. So the French Revolution happens erstwhile in Paris while this is all going on in England, and things are bad in Paris. Very bad. This is if you know your French history, this is the storming of the Bastille. This is the Reign of Terror. This is blood in the streets. This
Freaking
is the guillotine.
Robespierre.
This is the guillotine. This is ugly times. And Charles Dickens does discuss a lot of this in some gruesome detail. So this isn't. I read this to my kids recently. I'm not entirely sure. My 8-year-old may have been traumatized, but anyway. So Charles Darnay finds out that he can do someone good by going to France and helping out an old friend in France who relies on Charles Darnay to come save him from this citizens mob that have accused him of being part of the aristocracy and therefore worthy of death. And so Charles Darnay, without telling his wife, decides, you know what? I've got to go back there. I can save this man. The people will love me because I also denounced the aristocracy. I left England. I left France because I didn't want to be part of the system. They'll understand me. They'll be okay with me, even though I am nominally part of the aristocracy that this democratic revolution hates and is killing. So he convinces himself it'll be okay. He goes without telling his wife, and boy, things don't go well for him. Immediately he's taken. They don't care at all about his the fact that he renounced his family fortune and left the aristocracy behind. He's still part of the system, so he must die. And so the word gets back to his family in England saying Charles Darnay is taken and he's going to die. And so Lucy Manette and her father come over, and Lucy Manette's father, so Dr. Manette, the one that was imprisoned in the beginning of the book, is now like a hero in France because he was unjustly imprisoned by the aristocracy for a long time, got out, and so he is like, this is the people love him. And so he exercises his public appeal on behalf of his son-in-law, and actually gets him acquitted before this completely this mock of a court, this people's court that essentially is just a charade. He actually overcomes the charade and actually gets his son-in-law acquitted of the whatever trumped up charges they had him on, and so very briefly he's freed. However, I can't dig in. Let's just say, without digging into too much of the plot, that he is immediately retaken on grounds that that Dr. Manette cannot overcome. It is actually his own testimony from when he was imprisoned, saying that that Charles Darnay's uncle is guilty, and all of his descendants. He wrote a letter while he was in prison saying that. And so now Dr. Manette's own words are accusing his son-in-law. So Dr. Manette cannot now overcome that. And so now Charles Darnay is going to be killed. And so this now Sidney Carton is hears this, says, I can fix this. This is what my life is worth. So he comes and literally takes place of Charles Darnay. He ethers him because he knows that Charles Darnay will not allow him to do this. But he ethers him with some help of other people and has him carried out of the prison as if it were Sidney Carton. Remember, they look alike. And so Charles Darnay is carried out senseless and spirited away with his wife and his father-in-law and their daughter, who's a young child. They're spirited away out of Paris under the guise of this being Sidney Carton, not Charles Darnay. And so Charles Darnay is freed without even knowing that he was, right. He's ethered and out. And Sidney Carton uses his life in exchange for Charles Darnay's, and he goes to the He goes to the guillotine, saying it's a far, far better thing that I do now than I have ever done. It's far, far better rest that I could do now than I have ever known. And that is how the book ends. And it is a beautiful, I love the beauty of it. It is also a very cautionary tale. Charles Dickens Charles Dickens, if you've read any Dickens, you know that Charles Dickens is very partial towards the poor. The poor in his books are often the heroes, the best of people. He's very partial towards the lower classes. And he is, the beginning of this book for the French as well, saying, look, these people are oppressed. The aristocracy is just stepping on them. Like they don't have any food. They're just completely deprived of any possibility. And then when the French Revolution happens and the whole picture flips, Dickens doesn't really spare it. Like, he paints it as ugly as it is. He said these people who were oppressed are now become murderers. They've become evil, and that this is two sides and they're both evil of these this juxtaposition of repression and oppression. Anyway, that's some of my insight on Tale of Two Cities, and a quick summary, as quick as I could make it. Okay, what did I leave out, guys?
All the musical numbers.
Okay, Tim.
Sorry, I like Tale of Two Cities too. Great book. I'll actually just share my personal experience. When I read it in high school, I was just super annoyed that Dickens took so long to write through everything. Didn't really like it. Reread it in college, and I was like, wow, this is really a great book. And so, it grows on you. So if you don't like it at first, give it a chance. It really is a great story.
I will say that I think Dickens, and I think this is true of Russian authors as well.
Which ironically are never Russian to get anywhere in their writing.
Yeah, there are a lot of words, and then there are some beautiful passages. So you go through a lot, and maybe you love it, and maybe you don't, and suddenly you'll read a page or two, and you'll say, "Wow, that was incredible," and then you'll dive back into the next 20 pages, right? So that's kind of what you're signing up for. I learned to love it. That's why I love Dickens. But yeah, you do have to get used to it.
And just a plug for that, especially in our high octane, fast paced, TikTok scrolling society, we live for those quick dopamine hits, and if you find yourself unable to digest stuff like this, kind of make yourself do it, and take the time to learn to appreciate something different from your own culture and tastes. I think that's part of the human experience, is learning to stretch yourself. And so reading, Victorian era literature is a good chance for you to do that. It's accessible. It's not as hard to get at as Shakespeare, for example, but it'll still stretch you. Don't blow it off because it takes too long or it's too slow paced or whatever. Make yourself learn to appreciate that flavor. We're speaking from experience that it can be done, and you make your life and your outlook and your knowledge richer as a result than if you starved yourself to your trained impulses,
Right.
of kind of the lowest common denominator of what you're exposed to in our current society.
Right. A quick historical aside. I know when I was a teenager, when I first read this, and I was familiar with Les Miserables, and so I think a lot of our listeners, if we still have any at this point in the podcast, if you know Les Miserables, you might think, okay, well, that's also about the French Revolution, and the answer is kind of, but not exactly. They're actually different periods. This is the first and main French Revolution that is discussed in A Tale of Two Cities, and then there is a failed uprising, which is what's described by Victor Hugo in Les Miserables, like 30 or 40 years later, and that so they're not the same time period. They are both about France and Paris and political upheaval and revolution and whatnot, but what Dickens is describing is the guillotine time period, the reign of terror, and just that whole bloody mess, versus what Victor Hugo is describing, which is a historical reality, but it happened later and it was a failed uprising. So,
okay, are we in the talking about themes and ideas part now?
Yeah, go for it, Abby.
Okay, cool. Wasn't sure if we were done plugging in the new life experiences make you a smarter person, because I mean that's true, but
Right.
Okay, mob mentality.
Yes.
Also, the fact that humans. Okay, just opening with the idea of mob mentality is discussed a lot in this book, where everyone is angry, and everyone else being around angry people make them more angry, and soon you lose all reason and sense because you're so caught up in the I am feeling very strongly about this thing, and the people around me are also feeling very strongly about this thing. Let's kill this guy. Yeah.
Right.
Which is also a phenomenon found in groups of teenage boys.
True.
They
I
Humans,
would venture
interestingly enough,
teenage girls
in
do the
different
same.
settings, humans get smarter around other humans. With human cooperation, the things that we can accomplish together are unfathomable. But humans also get dumber around other humans.
True.
And suddenly you're all like naked in the streets, putting heads on pikes because you decided that was a good idea for some reason.
Right. And Dickens, interestingly, you're mentioning so the mob mentality and kind of just this search for like just the bottom of humanity.
Daddy,
Dickens
I am
describes
unmuted.
this dance, and I believe he has a name for it. And I was trying to look it up really quick, but there's a dance that became part of like a symbol of the French Revolution. That was this kind of just I mean, I don't know how to describe it without saying the word evil, but like this very you know base and kind of disgusting way to like out like this idea that like we're angry, therefore kill, and it like expressed itself all the way to a dance where it's like we can dance about killing people. um and so yeah, you have to watch for out for mob mentality. Always consider are what are our base because even the French Revolution, they have these base ideals, but are you actually adhering to them in any way? And does your mob, if are they a mob? Like are we thinking in a way that could be described by law and order in any way?
The best way that I've personally found to counter mob mentality is um, talk to people outside the mob. If you have a group of very insulated people who are all talking to each other and rebounding the same ideas onto each other, it creates this kind of echo chamber and it can very, very quickly get out of hand. You see, these people who think the same way as you, and you think you're right, therefore you think they're right, therefore nothing they say can be wrong, therefore you have this kind of loop of ideas that gets steadily more extreme and unreasonable. And because you're all repeating the same ideas, you never think to yourself, hey, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't be mass murdering all of these people. But
Right.
by talking to people outside of that echo chamber, you get the realization that, hey, wait a second, this aristocrat doesn't actually hate the ground I walk on and want ruin for me and my children. This
Right.
person who does not live in my home country isn't actually an evil child eating monster. This person who lives this way isn't actually the boogeyman. And so just talking to people who have different experiences than you do can help keep your mind very open, or at least more open than it would be otherwise. And so when you start hearing the everyone in this group is terrible, we should just kill them all, you have a sort of frame of reference that you can fall back on that says, hey, wait a minute, this guy isn't terrible and evil, and he's part of that group. He shared his favorite recipes with me, which is something that is becoming more accessible to us with the internet. We can reach people who are further away from us and who live very differently than us. Interestingly, though, the people who actively reach out to find those people are very limited. You end up talking to people online who reflect the way that you live more than anyone else. At
Absolutely.
least in my experience.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's absolutely true, and I think there's so it becomes algorithmic as well, right? Because people tend, it's more comfortable to be around those people that agree with you, and to hear your own ideas echoed back to you is it's very comforting. It's very peaceful, and that's it's the default, right? So if you can hear people say to you the things that you want to hear, great. It's and so algorithmically with a business uh, bent to it, that's what people exploit. That's what organizations on my social media exploit. Is that's what you want, therefore that's what we'll give you. um And so this
And then
desire, like you were mentioning, Avi, to reach out to someone else that doesn't think like you and to connect on maybe even a different ground. Maybe you can't actually talk politics or whatever else with them because you're not going to find common ground. Well, find common ground in humanity with them so that you understand, like you said, we both eat the same food and we both enjoy it, or we both came from the same area and we know these areas, and like we've grown up in very different, and maybe you are right, but like your political ideas and maybe theirs are, who knows. Like, I'm not going to comment on that, but like you said, if you find humanity in them, then there is something to be redeemed versus
cheese.
if right, like the mob mentality of there is nothing redeemable about the other side. They are evil. They are trash. They're scum. They're and that's what, like I said, the echo chambers eventually become. So okay, other ideas, themes of
What
the
was
book.
the other idea that I was thinking about? Hold on. It
Oh,
was the idea that people prefer to seek out negative emotion rather than positive
Mm,
emotion.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
presumably, like, I'm not a psychologist, but my working theory is that negative emotions like that are so intense that
Hmm.
experiencing them feels like some kind of catharsis. If you have something to be angry about, something to be furious about, you have something to care about. And to care about something is to feel fulfilled and to feel, full.
Mm.
And so if all you get is, pictures of cute little bunnies doing hops around, it's, it makes you bring a smile to your face, but it doesn't give you the same type of engagement that hearing about Jerry the Child Eater would. That gives
Hmm.
you something that you care very strongly about, that you want to know more about, that makes you mad, and suddenly you're talking about all of these other people who also think Jerry the Child Eater is the worst person ever. And did you know that he has orange hair? Man, there's something wrong with those orange-haired people. We should just get rid of all of the orange-haired people so we wouldn't have any more Jerry the Child Eaters. And suddenly, what happens? You're in the streets going mad.
Right, right. Yes,
orange-haired
exactly.
people
And
are soulless.
Right.
what? I mean, I can't comment on that part, but
I'm just saying that's where it goes. That's where I'm saying it leads to. And it's because anger engages the part of your brain, your fight or flight system, fight, flight, freeze.
Right. Very
That's
basal
why,
in nature. Yeah.
yeah, that's why it speaks to you more. And your other part is your frontal cortex, which is your thinking part of your brain, which has to work much harder to override your sympathetic reactions.
And yeah, that's interesting. And you can see
so
this
it's
like
easier to be mad than it is to be.
Happy?
it's
Yes.
yeah. Well, and you
Oh,
you see this
seems like a
also in
design
like
flaw.
Yeah.
you see this
That
in
makes me so
sports.
angry.
So it makes you angry.
Hmm.
Uh, like you'll hear this like from some like big like sports and athletes who talk about the fact that like the pain of losing a big game is actually more motivational to them than like the joy of winning a big game. And so that like these moments of the career that they look back on are not actually generally the good moments. It's the ones that crush them that are like the ones that stick with them and motivate them. And so that's the same, I think, kind of idea that like these negative emotions tend to like become these you know uh, you know main center points of our the way that we guide our lives, and so that we absolutely have to pay attention to that and recognize, yeah, that our emotions cannot overcome uh
Sense and
the
logic.
exactly
Well,
the
yeah,
yeah
I
the
mean, they have the logic knowing that they can use the motivation of the lose to help them because they have the skill. I mean,
sure.
we're gonna, but there's a little bit, yeah. I'm yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just saying
they're a little different.
yeah, they're a little bit different, but yes, like in general, it's easier to join with someone that is angry, um, because it's easier to be angry than to be happy, or to be like, why are you angry? It's just the way you're built. To be angry is easier to be happy in some ways. So that's why mob
So
mentality works.
in conclusion, never use social media unless it's to talk to people who are nothing like you or to look at cute pictures of rabbits.
Yes, mostly the bunnies. Yeah, I think that's
Yes,
good.
I definitely would say using social media and setting a time limit for yourself on the social media to look at happy images is a good thing, because social media, like they do the science, they've done the science of psychology, which we're getting off topic, but
The
anyway,
engagement strategies.
yes, to keep you engaged with them. But anyway, yes. The other thing
There's this
that you're avoiding of saying, Avi, is that people will also use social media and the internet to revolutionize their point, or to indoctrinate the weaker-minded people.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They do it
So-
deliberately.
Yes.
Can't forget that.
So be
That
careful
gets us back to
with that.
yeah.
To there. Yes.
Well, and that gets us back then. That connects Animal Farm and Tale of Two Cities right there. Like this mob mentality
Okay.
then can also be exploited. See, Avi, you asked me how these were related, and boom, there it is.
Right. You have the ignorant people who just follow along into the mob, and then you have the evil mastermind who is a pig.
Exactly. Okay. Well,
See, I'm
there's-
much more of a fan of Freddy. He was a good pig. He took care of his animals.
yeah. Well, that's going to bring me to the last thing. Once Avi, I think Avi has one more point, and then I'm going to speak about two different books that are related but not at all related to the books that we just discussed. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Was one of them Charlotte's Web? That one's a
No,
classic.
that is a classic. But okay, did you have any more points that you want to hit on, Avi, before we?
Well, we were kind of talking about social media and the way that it creates this idea of a mob. And it reminded me of this thing that I'm sure at least some of you have encountered, that I see a lot. This idea of doom scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Where you find something bad and you just keep looking at bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a sense of despair and apathy and like,
right.
Oh man, the world is just in shambles and it's all falling apart.
Right.
It was reminding me of the thing where it's like we seek out things that make us feel negatively because our brains are like that. And so when we were talking about, limit your social media usage, I think the time limit thing is great, sure, but I think it's more effective to just be aware of what you're using your social media for. If you catch yourself scrolling through all of the like true crime reports of like, and then a man beat a man to death and it was terrible, and that's all you're looking at, you can catch yourself while doing that and being like, okay, I've seen nothing good so far. I think it's time to get off and take a break and, therapeutically smell a daisy or something.
Yep, absolutely. Go pet a bunny. A real bunny. Go find a real bunny.
No, please don't approach random rabbits in the wild with the intent of petting them. That's bad.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay.
Go to your local pet, your local animal shelter, and then pet the animals there.
Exactly. The dogs, cats, bunnies. They're out there. They need love. Give them some love. Okay. So, final thing as we're wrapping up here, Cameron mentioned something that there's this book series called Freddy the Pig. Freddy had a bunch of different. The books about Freddy they're silly. They're like by Walter R. Brooks. He wrote Freddy the Pilot. There's a whole series of books that Walter Brooks wrote, and it's this general idea of a farm where there's in this case it's a well-meaning and kind of quiet and reserved farmer and his wife who take care of this animal. this farm where and the animals speak, but they have like their own government, and they take care of each other, and it's only similar to Orwell's Animal Farm in that the pigs are smart. So Freddy's probably the most intelligent guy in on the farm in these Freddy the Pig books. They have a society that they build together, and otherwise it's not related at all. But they were Freddy the Pig was actually written before Orwell wrote Animal Farm, so there's a slight chance, though probably not the case, that Orwell read Freddy the Pig before writing Animal Farm. I think this is probably much more likely one of these convergent type ideas where it's just we're talking about animals on a farm. That's just a very normal thing to discuss, and they use allegorically in the case of Orwell, and Brooks uses them more as like an adventure series. So, but it is an interesting uh, aside to note that Freddy the Pig was written first and probably publicly available around Orwell's time, and had a pretty good. It was published and consumed by a public pretty well back then. So there is an off chance that Orwell saw Freddy the Pig and thought, well, let me take this guy and turn him into Napoleon. So anyway, then the other one that this is Tim and I hit on this. I don't know if Tim's actually still listening. He's got kids that he's taking care of, but we were hitting when we were talking about this will also lead us to the tease for the next podcast. But we were talking about the Lord of the Rings, and we're talking about Tale of Two Cities, and Tim and I came up with some remarkable, correlations between Tale of Two Cities and Lord of the Rings. Tim, do you remember this?
Yeah, like we were gonna do a. Was this the matchup?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
Okay.
French,
no. Yeah, that's right.
The
So yeah, Madame Defarge was was Lord
Sauron. That's correct. Yeah.
and
then Charles Darnay. No, Sidney Carton was Frodo, I think.
no,
Really?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Frodo was Charles Darnay, and Gollum was Sidney Carton.
That's right. There we go.
This is
And
fascinating to me.
And
Let's not
then
get to this conversation.
Gollum eventually, they're both kind of going after the same ring, right? But Gollum eventually takes the fall for Frodo,
right?
and leaving Frodo to survive. So
there you go.
But I think the reason he can't be Darnay though is because Frodo's uncle is great and Frodo loves him. Isn't his uncle like evil and murdered a child via
okay,
carriage?
that's true. Yes, that did happen. I'm not saying this is a perfect analogy, but okay, but you haven't. Okay, listen, Abby. The French people are the orcs.
Okay.
So that follows. And then
to all of our French listeners.
And then the British are the hobbits.
The hobbits, who are uninvolved and isolated and separate.
Yeah, and generally just kind of happy-go-lucky.
And living in their portly hobbit holes. Yes. Yeah.
But when they're called on, they save the world. Yeah.
Also, 1,000 pardons to all of our British listeners.
The elves would have to be like the Swiss, right? Like they don't really get involved very often, but
they're really not a very interesting part of the story. Yeah.
I would say that the hobbits are more of the not interested in the story party than the elves, because the elves are the ones who are like setting up and supplying and giving resources to the whole party. All those times that they're like dying and the party is like, let's go to the elves, I'm sure they'll help us, and then they do.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
So who are the tree ents? That's what I really want to know.
I think those have to be the Dutch.
The Dutch.
Okay,
this is tortured. So there you go.
Wooden shoes, exactly. I don't see how this doesn't make a lot of sense. Or it's a tortured analogy, and we need to move on. So that
Possibly.
will be our the next podcast that we do. Next book podcast. I think we'll have another basics of soon. But we're going to do another book podcast, and we're going to be discussing the Lord of the Rings.
And boy, do I have things to say about the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so this will be great. I think we're all very familiar with it, but I think there's a lot of insight to be had. There's a lot of information that I think a lot of people that have watched movies and not read the books don't have, that we could potentially bring to light as well. And then they're getting ready for the release of another movie in the next few years. Search for Gollum. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Search for Gollum.
Wait, is it like one of those documentaries, like a
That would be hilarious.
Interviewed on camera? Like, yes, Gollum.
And here we see-
crazy.
And here
A
we see in
man's
his
search
natural
for
habitat
Gollum.
the wretch
Yeah.
of a being. You can see his behavior here. He once again is
Yeah.
behaving neurotically about shiny objects.
I hope it
I
is
hope
a
so. I
documentary.
hope that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much.
That makes the most sense. Okay. Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks for listening.
Oh.
Hope you learned something. Oh, did someone have?
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay, that's a teaser. Cameron will tell us his thought on the next podcast.
Write it down now. Write it down.
But we will sign off. Join us for the next podcast, and thanks. See you later.